Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep. What company do you keep?
Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it. Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It is Super Bowl Sunday, and as you can tell, Sharon is not here. As she mentioned last week, she is in Boston, getting situated so she can start her new employment up there at Simmons University. And I have a guest co-host that I am so excited to have co-hosting with me today. Of course, I am Sherelle Higgins. I am the favorite of this dynamic duo. Even with our guest co-host, I'm still going to be your favorite, right? Because that's how we get down. But you're going to love her as well. And so I'm going to have Antoinette introduce herself. But as Sharon likes to do, start the show off with a scripture that I'm going to read. I don't want to be a heathen and not read the scripture because Sharon is not here. So I'm going to read from Acts 20:35, the NIV version. And everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak. Remembering the words the Lord Jesus himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And so that is going to be very timely in terms of what Antoinette and I are going to continue the conversation about. We've been kind of talking about it on this show, but I think it's important for us to continue the conversation because it is now February. And we know what happens right before January 1st, all of the resolutions that people make.
Absolutely.
That they don't necessarily, by now, they have already given up on. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, Antoinette, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell them who you are, where you're from, and how we know each other.
I am Antoinette Woods, affectionately known as Net from Philly. I am a Philly girl. I went to Virginia State. I graduated in the year of 87, and that's where I met Sharon and Sherelle. And it's so funny because I never knew Jackie was their sister, right? And everybody said, how could you not know Jackie? I just didn't know until later on. But I'm here because of you, and I'm really grateful to be a part of this platform.
Cool, and I'm glad that you were able to come and co-host with me today at the last minute. So I appreciate that as well. So, of course, we know today is Super Bowl Sunday, and even though my Chicago Bears is not in the Super Bowl,
Nor my Eagles.
or her regular Eagles, however, I'm going to be rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs.
So are we.
Oh, cool. Okay. So the reason I'm rooting for them for two reasons. Number one, the 49ers always beat the Bears, and so I cannot root for them. And two, the Chiefs have a black quarterback, so I got to go with the black man.
I'm with you.
And so I'm excited. I hope it's an exciting game. My sister Kiki is having a Super Bowl party against her will. Kind of forced it on her. The girls always get together and watch the Super Bowl and just have girls' night and hang out, but we never do it at Kiki's house. Kiki's always willing to come to somebody else's house. So this year, I was like, oh no, we coming to your house. And we were going back and forth, and she was saying, well, I don't know how y'all gonna get in. I was like, girl, you know I've been working out. I will kick the door in. Absolutely, we getting in. Now, not to mention, I got the code to the door, so I don't really have to kick it in. I can just let myself in.
Right.
It seemed like more fun and more Chicago South Side. Just kind of kick it in. I got a few extra muscles in my thighs, now I can do stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny.
And so she was coming up with all these reasons. Oh, my house is not big enough. She got a 3-level condo. I'm like, whatever, we'll be there.
We'll make it fit.
You know what I'm saying?
Make it
There
work.
ain't even that many of us. So I'm just like, oh no. And then she was like, well, I don't have cable. I said, well, come on regular TV. Don't worry about it. So she had all of these excuses. So she finally gave in, and then she wanted me to invite some of our other friends who hang out with us for girls' night. I was like, no, it's your Super Bowl party. You invite them. she wasn't happy with me about that. But we're gonna, we're gonna go over to Kiki's house. We're gonna hang out for the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk some trash, and we are not gonna let our girl Jen touch the TV because one year we was watching the Super Bowl and the Fire Stick was fairly new, and she turned the Super Bowl off to show us about some Fire Stick. We were like, did you just turn the Super Bowl off? We're going to look at that Fire Stick thing later.
And so we're going to keep her away from the TV. So I say, let's go Chiefs. I say, everybody be safe out here. Have a designated driver. If you are drinking, please do not drive, because not only are you putting yourself at risk, you're putting other people at risk. Do not be out here on your cell phone drinking and driving, because that's a triple whammy. Take Uber, have somebody drive you home, whatever it takes.
Be safe.
Just be safe. And I saw on the highway coming up here that it said fans don't let fans drive blitz. So don't be that fan that know that your friend is drunk and let them drive. Quick story. My husband and I, we were in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago with the boy, and we went to the bar and we met this lady, and she was, at the bar drinking, and when it was time to go, she was obviously drunk. And she lived about 45 minutes away from where we were, but it was on the way where we needed to go to pick up the boy. I drove her truck. My husband followed us. We drove her home, because that's what you're supposed to do, and thank God, she was in safe hands. She didn't know us, and we weren't out to harm her in any kind of way, and she wasn't out to harm us in any kind of way. And so that's what you need to do for your fellow citizen. So let's just all be responsible. And if you see somebody who should not be driving, please don't let them drive. So that's that. So Antoinette, let's talk a little bit. I'm gonna give this only 3 seconds of my energy because I think we could vote better than we could talk about it, right? This whole foolishness that went down in the Senate this week. We already knew that they had already made up their minds that they were going to let the president off the hook. And so what we need to do, because if you don't expect the Republicans to steal the presidential election coming up in November, you sleep. Wake up, stay woke, and understand that they may be able to steal the presidential election, but they won't be able to steal all of the House and all of the Senate. They may be able to steal 1 or 2 seats, but they're not going to be able to steal the majority. So we need to make sure that we vote for the House members. We need to keep control of the House and get control of that Senate. Because if we do both of those, then that president has to do what we say he need to do. And if he don't, then we could take appropriate action and get him out of office. So let's just make sure we get out there and vote. Let's make sure our young people vote. All this foolishness about if Bernie Sanders don't get the ticket, then we're not voting. All that foolishness need to come to an end. And let me just remind people that Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He is an independent. And for him to automatically assume that we as Democrats are going to vote for him and that he is entitled to our vote, I say he is wrong. And I say let's make sure he understands how wrong he is.
Absolutely. And it's our right as citizens to vote. Though it's not a law, it is our right, and we have to exercise that right. So know your incumbents, know what their agenda is, and don't worry about, actually who's running. What are they running for? What is their agenda about?
Absolutely.
Your vote counts. So let's make it out here in November and make it happen.
Absolutely. And don't forget to vote in the the pre-elections to determine who's going to get that Democratic ticket. Mm-hmm. And I just want people to just really understand what they're voting for. Right. And there are a few candidates who have decided to run and automatically, and they know they can't win without the African American vote. Yeah. And so and this is just me. Y'all can vote how y'all want. I don't really care. I'm gonna tell you about me and Michael Bloomberg. He cannot have my vote. He cannot have my vote.
Why is he running? That's what you need to ask yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he can't have my vote because of the whole stop and frisk. Because what would stop him from doing stop and frisk once he become president? Absolutely. And we didn't put him in the office. He cannot have my vote. Right. He cannot buy my vote. So y'all can vote for whoever y'all want to, but I'm not voting for him in no election. And so, I just hope that, we are smart and that we are not going to make the same mistake that we made the last election in 2016 when it comes to these women politicians. Absolutely. I hope we're not going to hold them to a different standard that we're willing to hold these men to who are running as well. We already don't have any minority candidates really running. except for Yang. He hanging in there. He doing his thing. I like part of his plan. Some of it, not so much. But he has not done anything to deliberately negatively impact the African American and other minorities. And so I say that we need to make sure we vote. Don't talk about it. Don't be on Facebook talking about it, and all of that foolishness, and not going to the polls. I'm bringing both my college age kids home to vote. None of that absentee ballot stuff, right? Because we already know that those ballots go in the trash.
Absolutely.
And so we have no control over that.
Absolutely.
So I am definitely bringing my college students home, and my son, this will be his first year voting. We marching up to the polls, and we're going to vote as a family.
Right, but you know what? You said you're grabbing your children, and that's what I was thinking about. You grab your friends to go to parties and things. You grab your friends to go to parties and things like that. Grab them and take them to the polls. Find somebody that you know that doesn't have a ride and, congregate and take them to the polls. We have to be intentional about this election.
Oh, absolutely. And anything else is unacceptable. So, away from that, I think y'all got the message on that. So here's where we need to go from here. So I know that the number one New Year's resolution usually is to lose weight. Most people say starting January 1st, even though they know that is the official holiday, and they know that a lot of stuff happened on January 1st, like the black eyed peas and the cooking with the ham hocks in it, and all of that happens on January the 1st, the chitlins and all of the good food that we like is happening on January 1st. We always say on January 1st, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to stop doing that, or I'm going to start working out, right? And so I wanted Antoinette to come on the show today and co-host with me because she has been on a journey to get healthier. And I like to just call it a healthier journey, not necessarily about losing weight, not necessarily about, looking, as my friend Lolo says, cuter. It's really about being on a healthier journey and also trying to do what you can for longevity on this side of the ground, right? And so, Antoinette, can you kind of share like what kicked off your journey with our audience?
I will. And you know this as far as CIAA in 2017, we were all there. We always travel with our girls, and this particular year, it was very uncomfortable for me. I was telling you that we went to the Civic Center, and we had where they have all of the vending. And then once you leave the vending, you walk over to where the games are going to be held. Well, that walk nearly killed me. And I didn't say anything. I was huffing, puffing, and sweating, but I was keeping up. But I had made up in my mind that night, something has to change. I cannot continue to operate, function, really have a lack of functioning, this way. So what am I going to do? So I talked to my husband about it, and I said, look, we have to all be in, although it's really up to me, you still need the support of your loved
absolutely.
ones, that are around you. I made a decision. I came home, and I talked to Yvette, Jean, and Deirdre about it. Deirdre said she didn't remember, but I talked to her about it, and I said, I can't take it anymore. And because your friends love you, there are certain things that they won't say to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? So, they knew I was a little out of hand and all, but because of that love, they always stared me in the right direction, but they never really came down on me. And I said, this is a decision I had to make for myself. I went to my nutritionist, and that's where it started. March of 2017 is where my journey started. And it wasn't easy, but it was worth it.
Right.
I was telling you that I would go to my primary, and my doctor and my husband and I share the same primary. And he would always say, you're beautiful. Your cholesterol is beautiful. Your sugar is beautiful. Your blood pressure is beautiful, but you have to lose the weight. You have to lose the weight. And I'm like, okay. But this time, I said, you know what? With all the ailments in the back and the, you can't keep up and the thighs hurt. I said, I'm going to do it. And I started one day at a time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you have to have a plan. And my nutritionist gave me that plan. I stuck with that plan. And for me, the easiest thing to do was really to start out like doing the Atkins. And I know it's not for everybody.
Right, right.
You know, you do the Atkins, then you can kind of do the other one. What's it
Keto?
called? The keto is really, really good. But it's a change of life.
It is.
You know, it's a lifestyle change. So though it's taken me 2 years to lose 100 pounds, yay, hey, woo, woo. Girl, when I put those side by sides together, it was amazing.
Well, you know, you say it took you 2 years to lose 100 pounds, but I guarantee you it took you longer than 2 years to gain it.
And that's the misconception.
Right.
We don't understand or realize how long it took us to get to this place. If we did, we would understand that we have to put in the work to get back to where we were.
Absolutely.
And not lose heart. And that's what I would encourage people to do. Surround yourself with people that will help you work your plan, hold you accountable, you know, because we always go back to, well, just this day, this one thing. You know, bottom line, it's up to you.
Right.
But you have to make that choice. And I made that choice, and I'm thankful. And one of the things I want to say also is the exercise part. You really got me into the exercise part. You know, one of the things that my old pastor told us was, you know, one of the greatest powers that you can have is the power of influence. And when you have that, you know, you can really mark your way and help others. And that influence that you had, whoo, Jesus. Girl, those planks wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And
Yes.
I didn't complete it because I got pneumonia. So I started the first, and I will make up my 10 days.
Okay.
And I'm going to finish out February.
Okay. All right. That's good because I've been doing a lot of research on just kind of, the impacts of what we eat and how you maintain weight loss and, what I need to watch because I am diabetic. Well, I'm not even diabetic no more. I'm not even claiming that no more.
Absolutely.
The exercise part, right, is really 20%.
It is.
The weight loss goal, right? A journey is 20%. It's 80% what you eat. And I read in quite a few places where it says you cannot out exercise your diet.
Yeah.
So whatever you eating, don't think you could eat 5,000 calories and then go burn 5,000 calories because that's
Doesn't
not
work
going to
like
happen.
that.
And all that's going to do is put weight on you. And over time, that is going to add up. And then the next thing you know, you have either some type of ailment that come as a direct result of being overweight or whatever. So Antoinette, I know you said you did Atkins, but Atkins is an old school eating plan that many people may not know what it is. Can you tell us what that is?
It's a low carb, high fat and protein diet. So you take out all of the sugars and the carbs like the starches, the white potatoes, French fries, and things like that, and you replace those things with vegetables. The juices and all of that you replace with water or other substitutes like that. And you don't have to eat all of the meat that they say. You can do chicken or fish, whatever you want. But it's about burning the stored fat when you get to the level of ketosis. And that happens generally when you get like a week into the plan and you do not cheat. But you got to have your vitamins. And disclaimer, you need to go to your doctor before you do anything.
Absolutely.
But you have to do what works for you. And that worked for me. And I won't even call it Atkins, just watching the carbs. Carbs are not my friend. And I tell my daughter all the time, they are not your friend. And knowing what works for you.
Yes.
It's really, really important. So once your body gets into ketosis, it starts to burn off that stored fat and flush it out through your urine. And you can always tell this if you look at your urine and see how dark it is. Once you get into ketosis, it's really light,
yes,
almost colorless,
yes,
when you're really burning off that fat and you know you're doing something. I also would like to add, just adding like 15 minutes a day, morning and night, will help you to start, speeding up your metabolism. But, it works. It works. And don't forget your water.
Right. And so one of the things I want to say is I know that a lot of our audience is in the same age group as Antoinette and I. And so as we age, life gets harder, right? Mm-hmm. Life gets more hectic. We have more stresses. We have more everything. And somebody said to me the other day, they said, one of the things that inspire me about you, Sherelle, is that regardless as to how busy your life is, because everybody know I got a 17-year-old son who keeps me ripping and running. And, I work full time and I have 12 other jobs, as my girlfriend Marquita would say. But she said, no matter how hectic your life is, you found time to take care of yourself. It's important. And so that is so important. And, we can always come up with an excuse as to why we can't do things that we need to do for ourselves, particularly to take care of our health, because that seems to be the hardest journey for us. But we come up with things like, oh, I'm going through menopause, my metabolism has stopped, all that. And all of that might be true, but there's a way to get it going again. Right. And so, I would like to challenge our audience to find time to take care of yourself, because one of the things I used to say is, I'm too tired to get up in the morning and work out. And so while that was true, one of the things I came to terms with, even when I slept through the workout time, when it was time for me to get up, I was still too tired. Right. And so, it's important for me to get up in the mornings and work out and get it out the way. Mm-hmm. That way, when I work all day, people get on my nerves. I come home, I got to do what I got to do. And then when I finally sit down, I don't want to have to work out because I am too tired to work out. Right. And so you mentioned 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon. What type of things do you do during those 15 minutes?
Besides my plank.
Right, besides your plank.
I do like stretches and nothing like astronomical. I do basic calisthenics, like the little jumping jacks, the arm rotations back and forth. I get on the floor, I stretch, and I do, what is it called? Where you... lunges. Okay. The lunges. And it's, like I said, is really basic. It's not strenuous. When I feel myself like pushing myself too hard, I stop, because that's one of the turnoffs. When you overexert yourself, it's easy for you to just say, you know what, I'm not doing this tomorrow. Yes. So one of the things that you say, you have to find your niche. You have to find what works best for you. And stick with it. Right. It's important to have the plan. And my daughter, India, encourages me a lot, really not by what she says, but by what she does. I see her meal prepping, and she'll meal prep for the whole family, for her daddy, for me, for Isaiah, and for herself. And she gets up now early, and she goes to the gym at her job. She's doing what works for her. Right. That work-life balance is difficult, especially, like you said, when you have a 17-year-old, but you have to make this journey work for you and feel the importance of yourself. Yes, and the meal prepping thing, that's a necessary animal, man. I have to meal prep too. It's a necessary thing because it takes all of the guesswork out. It takes all of the last minute. I ran out of time, can't do it out. I meal prep on Sundays, and just try to get it done because. I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather take my food to work to eat, because as much as they charge you for food these days, you trust your food better, and it's not even that good. I mean, like for me to spend $20 for between breakfast and lunch, and I'm looking at it at the end of the day like this wasn't even that good. So I just rather meal prep, and it doesn't take a whole lot to meal prep, right? You just need to know what it is you need to eat and how you're going to eat it, and just put it together and just be done with it. Because if you do it on Sunday, you don't even have to worry about it for the rest of the week. And if you don't want to do it for 5 days, do the first 3 days, right? And then that way on that third day, you already know you got a meal prep for the rest of the week. And so that meal prep is very, very important. And so when you, so for you, Antoinette, I know you said carbs is not your friend. And so what type of carbs were your go-to carbs?
So like I love French fries, right?
Girl, I
Not
love
my
a
friend,
chip.
but I love them.
I love a chip.
Okay.
I love a pretzel. I love baked macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
And those are the types of mashed potatoes, fully loaded potato.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you transition from the fully loaded potato to the sweet potato with nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can add a little cinnamon or something like that. I totally left the fries out. And what I noticed about myself, I'm a texture person.
Okay.
So I was telling my nutritionist, I said, well, I like, you know, when I get down and dirty, I like chips and pretzels. And she said, well, try jicama. I was like, what the heck is a jicama? It's a root. And she actually had some for lunch, and I asked her if I could try it. It was so good. It's like a snappy root. It reminds you of a pear crossed with like a potato kind of,
Oh,
a white
okay.
potato kind of. And you just dice it up, and it's so good with a little bit of cilantro, a little bit of olive oil, and a little bit of lime juice. Is really, really good. So for me, it's the carbs that make you eat more. And the other thing that I discovered is a lot of times after you eat, if you don't wait, you're really not hungry, you're thirsty.
Right.
So I've learned
Right.
to eat my meal. I switch from plates to saucers. And I see some white or whatever color the plate is in that saucer. And after I eat, I wait like 20 to 30 minutes before I drink. Because you're really not hungry.
Right,
You
right.
know, and it starts in your mind. You got to get your mind right. And
Yes.
then one day at a time, I tell everybody, you know, you have a point where you might fall, but just get back up.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
Don't wait till the next year.
Right.
Just get back up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving.
And don't even look at it as failure, right? Just look at it as something that happened and just keep moving. Because I could tell you that on my journey, which I'm not off.
And neither am I.
Yeah, and I'll continue to be on it for the rest of my life. But for me, it has to be a lifestyle change, a permanent lifestyle change, because I'm, again, not even claiming being diabetic no more.
Absolutely.
But, you know, for me, I drink water all throughout the day. And, you know, some people like cold water, some people like warm water, however you like it, right? Some people like to put a little sweet, a little sugar, the little Crystal Lights or whatever, flavored water. I don't need all of that. I just drink water because that's the purest form, right?
Absolutely.
And whenever you start adding stuff to your water, you're adding something to it, either sugar, calories, something you don't need, whatever.
And you can never appreciate the real taste of water. That's the other thing.
Yes. And so, you know, we want to make sure, Sharon is saying yucca is good.
Yucca.
Okay. Yucca is good. It looked like a potato.
It does, like a potato wedge.
And it fooled me one time, but it'll never fool me again. And so, you know, for me, you know, everybody know I started a 30-day plank challenge. It's really Candace Camille's 30-day plank challenge. It wasn't mine. I just jumped on her bandwagon, and as a result of that, other people started doing the plank challenge as well. And when I first started, I couldn't do a whole minute, but by the second week into it, I was able to do it for a minute, and I found out that one of the things that was hindering me from being able to do it for a minute is that I wasn't wearing shoes. And so when I started putting shoes on while I was doing it, it made it a lot easier because my feet were no longer sliding.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I did do that minute because of you. I was like, if Sherelle can do it, I can do it.
There we go. And so people have been asking me about another challenge we can do. And so
What's this NYNY?
Okay, so the NYNY is the New Year, New You challenge that I'm doing with the gym, the boot camp gym. And they have us counting macros and eating green leafy vegetables with every meal and really monitoring how much protein, fat, carbs, and vegetables, not even the vegetables, we can eat as much as we want. But they gave us a prescribed, based on where you were, prescribed set of macros that you could have for each meal. And you could eat either 4, 5, or 6 meals a day. I can only barely get 4 meals in.
What are macros?
Macros is, I'm not sure I could really explain it, but I tell you that when you look at a nutrition label, if it has more carbs than protein, then you count the carbs.
Okay,
If it has more proteins than carbs, then you count the protein as the macro. So
Okay,
whatever the
gotcha.
macronutrient is. So
Gotcha.
okay, now that I say it out loud, it
It
makes
makes
sense.
sense. It makes a lot of sense, right? Okay.
Right. So whichever nutrient has the most is what you count in your meal, and not necessarily the calories.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, every meal you have a protein, a carb, a fat, and veggies. And so that has been helping for me and keeping me focused. And the other thing I mentioned last week is changing it up, right? If I was still doing what I started out doing back in September, I would be off the wagon.
Totally bored.
I would be totally bored and off the wagon. And so I have been switching it up. And so now I'm doing this 8-week challenge, not so much to lose weight because I have met my goal weight.
Oh, you look so good.
Thank you. And so I'm cool with that. I'm not necessarily trying to lose any more weight, even though if you look at the chart that the doctors will tell you about that's not necessarily for African American women, I would need to lose another 20 pounds to be within a normal range. So I used to be obese, now I'm just fat. And I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. As long as I can dress this fat up, I'm going to be all right.
I feel the same way. I said I can never reach what that form says that I'm supposed to reach. I don't want to be that.
No.
You know, I said maybe another 15, 20 pounds, I'm good. And that will allow me to still wear my clothes, I believe.
Okay.
But also to fluctuate a little bit. Because one of the other things that I've learned is when I gain like 5 pounds, I immediately get those 5 pounds off. I immediately get those off. And it hasn't been difficult because I go back to plan A from the, I go back to the basics and start over. But the variety is really important so that people don't get bored
Right.
and want to, and preparation.
Right.
Everything that I do at this point in my life is intentional.
Yes.
And I tell people, I mean, from the way I worship to what I put on my body, it's intentional. I don't look this good by accident.
Oh, I know that's right. Yes. We don't look this good by accident.
No.
I got up this morning and made sure I looked this good.
That's right.
Because I knew Antoinette was going to bring her A game. And I was like, I ain't wearing no bear stuff up in there today. I'll put that on after the game because I already know Antoinette going to come up in here looking good.
But one of the things that my heart tells me all the time, and I have two hearts. I have my husband, who is just my heart. And then I have Jean and Yvette, which are my besties. And one of the things that we always say is iron sharpens iron.
Yes. Yes.
So if I do something that, motivates you, then I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
Because you're definitely a motivation to me.
Thank you. And likewise, and that's what we got to do as women because, we have a hard time supporting each other. We have a hard time understanding that me being a motivator for somebody else is not a threat to who you are.
Absolutely.
And so it's important that we know that and that we can articulate that and that we're good with that. And we have to, I say this to some ladies that I work with all of the time, stop looking for you and other people.
Right.
Don't expect people to be or behave the way that you would have if you are in a similar situation. And so, we just have to continue to move forward and we have to continue to uplift one another.
Absolutely.
and communicate about the things that we're doing that's good, right?
It's important.
Because it is important because, a lot of people have been raised or they have come to just be this way that if I have something that's good, it's for me to keep to myself.
Right.
I'm
And
not
it's
going to share it.
It's not. That's haterade to me.
Right.
It's like, no. Why would you want to keep all of the good for yourself? Help somebody else out along the way. We're better in numbers.
Right.
We're stronger in numbers.
And people equate being thin with beauty.
It's not.
And it's not. It's not at all. Nobody couldn't tell me when I was a size 14 that I wasn't cute. Nobody. Like, I was owning it, I was rocking it, and I was going with it, right? And nobody's going to be able to tell me that at a size 8. I'm owning it, I'm rocking with it, and it is what it is. And so for me, beauty comes from within.
It is.
Beauty is who I am on the inside and how I share what I have on the inside with other people, and to be in service to other people, and not expect other people to do anything in return.
Right.
And to understand that other people are going to make mistakes, right? People are not going to, as this says, they're not going to give to you as you receive from them.
Absolutely.
And so we have to make sure that we are giving to our bodies in a healthy way, as healthy as possible, because nobody can be 100% healthy. I don't know if you saw on my page, my girlfriend Marquita tagged me in an article where this lady broke the world record in planks.
Oh, yeah, I saw
She
that.
did
She said
4
Sherelle.
hours and 20
Yes.
minutes of planks. I was like, oh, she ain't doing nothing. I could do that. I got that. I could. Matter of fact, after this game, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'll be done by 5 o'clock. That was yesterday. I didn't even do a minute plank.
She was cut up, too.
Yes, she
cut
was.
up.
And I don't know about you, but I tell you, when I look at my arms and stuff in the mirror now, when I'm planking or not planking, I can see,
You can see
the
the
definition.
definition,
Absolutely. And somebody else was saying to me, "Oh, I see your arms." I'm like, "All right now, look, I'm trying. I got some other goals in mind. I'm trying to get to before I get to Jamaica in July."
I know that's right.
And so, so Antoinette, you said you started with the Atkins and you kind of moved a little bit into ketos. I know for me, after I finish this 8-week challenge, it'll be cycling season. And so me and my man will be out here riding our bikes. We'll be going down to Haynes Point, which is a major landmark here in the Washington, D.C. area. Cycling there. There's a lot of bike trails around. We'll be cycling. And so what's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm not going to say cycling. You know, is maintaining, and whatever that means.
Right.
So for me, I noticed that with the plank, it gave me more of an incentive to do the exercise piece. Because like I said, just a little 15 minutes, it helps in the morning and at night. But even at that, I'm not as consistent as I want to be. And my daughter is always like, "Mom, come on and work out with me." And I'm always having an excuse. I'm tired or not feeling well. So I think that's my next piece, is to really, really focus on transitioning into the exercise piece. Not to overdo it and turn myself off, but to be sustainable. That's most important, you know, repetitive and sustainable. Because it's so easy to give up. You know?
It really is. I know that when we start cycling, like the first few days is going to be very painful for me. You know, anybody who's ever sat on a bicycle seat for any long periods of time, that it can be very sore between your legs. And your thighs and everything else. But you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get back on my bike and do it. I have everything that I need to cycle. It's a great exercise. I actually like it because you can go into your own mind. And there's not a lot of chatting involved. And you listen to your music and you just roll. And so I'm looking forward to cycling season. I didn't cycle at all last season, but I'm definitely going to do it. And because my husband cycles a lot, he'll be pushing me to, on the first ride, he'll want me to do 10 miles.
See.
I won't do 10 miles. I'm not going to let him push me that far, but I will probably do 6, on the first ride, and then just start building myself up. So by the end of the summer, you know, I can go out there and do 30, 40, 50 miles if that's what I choose to do. I won't train for the Century Ride that we did once before, and it's usually in October. It's usually the same weekend as homecoming, but one year we lucked up and it wasn't. But I won't do that again because I didn't see the point of that when I was out there doing it. I started asking myself right around 40 miles. Now why are we doing this again? Why we need to go 60 more miles on this bicycle?
I like swimming. I do like swimming.
Oh, that's
and
great.
Last year, we had our grandson for the summer, and we took him to the pool like almost every day. And being in the pool and actually swimming, you can feel that thing all over.
Oh, yeah.
It works every bone in your body. So I got that into, into motion. So I think that's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to start swimming again and keep doing that throughout the summer. Look, I don't have nothing to worry about.
Right, you can't complain about your hair no more, right? Swimming is great exercise. It is an all-around body exercise. It ain't really my thing. I like to just get in the water and look cute, but I ain't no swimmer. But I ain't gonna drown,
Right.
so I can swim good enough not to drown. But it is great exercise, and maybe after cycling, I might start swimming. Who knows?
It's really good. And we have a bike. We have a 2-seater bike, and usually when the big grandkids come, my husband and they will ride.
Oh, okay.
So I think Terry and I are going to ride.
Okay.
He, with his little mishap 2 years ago, was it a year ago? Time goes by so fast.
It really
He had
does.
the
It's two.
heart, not heart attack, but he had the heart surgery. That's when really things started to change too, because he had to change his diet. We had to look out for him and make sure he ate the right things. So that's when the transition started as well. So he's into the exercise thing, so I'm gonna have to join him.
There you go. There you go. We could do it. So I'm going to ask our Facebook followers, how many of you all said you was going to start living a healthier lifestyle in 2020, and you started out the first week of January, but you've already fallen off the wagon? And this is no judgment zone, so you could be honest with us. You could let us know, where you are, and is it anything we can do to assist you? Like, is it any advice we can give you to help you? Just kind of commit to it, because it really is mind over matter. We set our minds to do a whole lot of things, right? And regardless as to how tired we are, or how we really don't feel like it, or we give all these other excuses, there's some things we just do because we know that's what we have to do.
Absolutely.
And I don't know why we don't approach our healthy lifestyle that way. As you all know, I used to be, I'm not claiming this anymore either, an avid beer drinker. I'm going to drink some beers for the Super Bowl tonight, but I'm an avid beer drinker, and I thought it was going to be really, really hard for me to give that up. And turns out it wasn't. I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just not drinking beer. And maybe because I went into it knowing that my mindset wasn't, I'm never going to drink beer again.
Right.
And so it was just, I'm not drinking beer right now. And so maybe that's why it wasn't that hard for me to give it up.
That's a key point that you just made. It's going to be there. Whatever you like that you think you're going to miss, think about it in this way. When you get to when you get through that journey, get to point A to point B, and you reach that milestone, all that stuff is still going to be there.
Absolutely.
And you can take 1 tablespoon at a time instead
Yes.
of 1 bowl of cup at a time.
Right.
And it's like learning how to pour. It's learning how to do everything all over again.
Yes.
And not allowing society to dictate what you're going to stick to.
Right.
We go to dinner. It's knowing how to order when you go out. A lot of times we order one meal and we'll share that meal. But if we want a variety of things, I'll get a small piece, and we don't have to eat on that plate. We get a separate plate and we'll just take off what we
Right.
want and keep it moving. So you have to find your own little niche and what you need to do to make you successful. So whatever we can do to help move it along, we're here to help you guys.
Yeah, I've never been a big eater, so that's never been my issue. Like I could pick at some stuff and eat just enough, and then after that I'm done. I don't need a whole lot of food, and so I think that's why I'm struggling with having to eat 4 times a day.
And it is because what it is not so much of how much you eat, is what you eat of
Right.
that thing
Right.
that's putting on the weight for
Right,
you.
exactly.
It's when you eat. You may be one that eats a little later and then goes to lay down or
Right.
something like that. So you have to find out what it is that's adding the weight to you so that you know how to step it out so that you can be successful. And that's a really, really important piece.
It's a lot of tips out here that you can you can Google a lot of things. You can learn about how to do it differently, and that's all you're doing is doing something differently. It's not that you're not doing it at all. It's just that you're doing it differently. And there's a lot. One of the things I was researching the other day, because in my mind I'm not thinking about that chart that the doctors have, but in my mind I have reached my goal weight. And so one of the things I was researching is how do I maintain this goal weight, particularly while I'm doing this 8-week challenge, because I don't necessarily want to lose any more weight. I do want to continue to tone my body and bring my BMI down, but I don't want the scale to move anymore. And so I was researching, like, how do I do that? And one of the things I read is I need to step up the amount of protein that I'm taking in. And so that's something that I'll start to do is consume more protein.
And it's important that you monitor it. So you keep a journal. And when you see that you're losing weight, you go back to see what you were eating. And then you may have to add, like you said, a little bit more protein in that, a little bit more calories in that too, because like you said, when you work out, it depends on the calorie intake that you have determines how much you burn.
Right.
So you want to think about that too. I can't see you not losing more weight. So
Me either.
But you're going, I think because of the exercise piece, if you don't bulk it up with the eating, you will lose more weight.
I know, I'm trying. I am journaling what I eat. And, of course, checking my fasting blood sugar every day. I do weigh myself every day.
I do.
Because that keeps me on point.
I do.
I don't care what happens. If I get on that scale and I weigh more than I did yesterday, I know today I got to do something completely different than I did yesterday. One of the things I learned throughout this journey is while I was, and I'm still doing intermittent fasting, but
I heard about that. I just learned about that.
yeah, intermittent fasting is a wonderful thing. But there was like a 7-day period where I weighed exactly the same amount on the scale. I'd never seen that happen before. I thought something was wrong with the scale. I checked the calibration. I changed the batteries. I was like, what in the world is going on? And it wasn't until I started doing the 8-week challenge that I started losing weight again, because they had me eating more food. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I would switch up what I was eating, but I was still weighing the same amount. So now I got to go back and look at my journal and see what I was eating that kept me at the exact same weight down to the 0.10th.
That happened to me too. And it's funny because when I changed what I ate for breakfast, I started eating more for breakfast. I would start out with my protein shakes.
Right.
Like when I see that I'm gaining weight, that's what I do. I go back, I start my protein shakes, I drink my shakes in the morning. And when I added additional meals, that's when I started seeing me lose weight again. And I'm like, what the world? But it works.
That's because we were taught that the more if you want to lose weight, you need to eat less, right? And you need to starve yourself. But that is actually the opposite. You just need to eat more times throughout the day and eat smaller portions throughout the day. I start my day too with a protein shake. I'm hooked on those, especially with putting some peanut butter in it. A scoop of peanut butter. Oh my goodness! When I tell you, that is, it is. If you like peanut butter or you don't have no peanut allergy, put that in your shake and see what happens.
Wow.
And you only need a scoop because peanut butter is a strong flavor, and so you don't want it to take over just your whole protein shake. Tastes like peanut butter, but it is really, really good. I put the peanut butter, the spinach, a banana, or maybe some strawberries with some chocolate protein powder, and it is really, really good. So I start most of my days with a protein shake.
It's good.
And it's filling.
And it's filling. And that's the other thing. Like if I don't want to eat lunch, for example, I'll have a protein shake and it fills me up. And then after that 20 minutes or so, then I'll drink some water. 20, 30 minutes, I'll drink some water. And that's the key too. You have to try to push yourself to get in getting all your water by any
Right.
means necessary.
Right.
So that means if you have to do the Crystal Light thing, if you have to drink the tea, you know, with maybe no sweetener or whatever, or the coffee, you're still getting in that water in that way. Because you need it to flush out the toxins and to flush out the fat from
Right.
your body. So
Absolutely.
it's important.
So I'm going to look at what we have here on our social media feed, because we're going to be, we got about 5 minutes left. But we have Honey Lamb saying that this is good information. And then we got Cheese. It's hard for me to stay consistent exercising with my aches and pains, and it's much easier to do nothing. And you are so right with that. But here's what I learned. I used to have back problems until I lost weight and started exercising, and they all went away. So I don't have any more back problems. So, Cheese, what I would say to you is you need to strengthen your core, because a strong core is really the key to your overall health, and it will certainly help your back problems. And one of the things Antoinette mentioned that I wanted to follow up on earlier that I failed to do is when you talked about stretching.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
so important to stretch. An exercise instructor told me this probably back in 2007, that it is more important for you
It
to
is.
stretch, because as we age, our bones become more brittle, our muscles tighten up, and we can't move like we used to. And so when you're getting out of bed, you know, you're like feeling all crickety and just not right. And so it's important to stretch. So make sure you're stretching, Cheese. And yes, it is certainly easier to do nothing, but in the long run, that won't be your friend.
It will not. It will not. And actually, India was at the gym, she said the other day, and an older Caucasian woman was working out. And India said she was strong. And she told her the best thing you can do is strengthen with the stretching.
Right.
Especially as you're getting older, that will help you sustain a fall.
Yes.
If you are limber and you've already stretched and you know you have that together, it's important.
And that's why so many elderly people, when they fall, they break their hip,
Yep.
right? Because they haven't been stretching. And, you know, it's not going to be as easy as we continue to age to get the proper amount of stretching in and to really self-correct.
Right.
Because if we haven't stretched in 30 years, then, you know, we got somewhere we need to start. And that's just like right now, we might as well get it going and start and, you know, try to do better. Because I think Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you're supposed to do better.
That's right. That's right.
And we certainly know better, because all of the information is out here and it's at our fingertips. And it's just up to us to take advantage of it. So we have Fro, Lance Harris. He probably don't go by Fro no more, but I still call him that. Anyway, he says, good topic, Sherelle. I gave up alcohol until my birthday to reassess. With high blood pressure and demanding life, let me see what else it says. I'm trying to hit see more here. That's not working. Okay, so he gave up alcohol. So, you know, we talked about that.
And I had to too.
Right.
I had to too. You
Yeah,
have to do
and
that.
again, that doesn't mean
Calories.
the calories. It breaks down the sugar, and it doesn't mean you can't drink forever. You know, there's going to be, you know, certain points in life. I could tell you right now, there's certain points in life where I'm going to consume alcohol. One is going to be Super Bowl Sunday. That's today. Another one is going to be CIAA, because that's coming up in a few short weeks. And then another one gonna probably be my birthday, because that's gonna be in April.
April 30th.
Yes, April 30th. Yes, I'm gonna be 54 and I'm gonna be fabulous. Some more,
My
whatever.
birthday is this month, February 25th. So
Okay, yeah. Oh, right before CIAA.
56, girl.
Yeah, rock it. Don't we look good for our ages? You know, black don't crack. So we are, know that there are going to be opportunities to, enjoy the things that you like to enjoy. If ice cream is your thing, there's going to be opportunities for you to enjoy ice cream, and if you just wake up one day and you just have a craving for that thing that you enjoy, just go ahead and have it, and just get it out the way and just try to minimize the amount that you consume
That's it.
of it. But just go ahead and have it. Ain't no sense in trying to push through the craving.
But you know what I did do? When I had sugar cravings, I bought Jell-O
Oh.
and whipped cream, non-dairy
Okay.
whipped cream, because there are no calories and fat in that. And you
Okay.
can eat as much as you want, So that's what I did. So you find those little things. And like you said, they have the little Haagen-Dazs in the little tiny cups. You don't have to buy the half pint or half gallon anymore.
Right.
You know, buy it by the serving size. You have to do what works for you. And
Absolutely.
if you're not one that's disciplined, you got to find those little tiny things that will help you.
And one last thing I gave up is coffee.
Did you?
I
Why?
did because of the cream and sugar. I mean, I usually, when I drink coffee, I only put a half a pack of Splenda in it because I'm just not a sugar person. But the cream, I like the flavor cream. I like my coffee a certain kind of way. And I know that in a lot of healthier lifestyle eating habits will support you drinking black coffee.
Right.
I don't want my coffee black.
I mean-
and so since I can't have it the way I want it, I just don't drink it.
Have you tried non-dairy whipped creamer? The powder creamer?
I have. I don't like
you
it
don't
as
like
much.
it? Okay.
So I just don't drink it.
Gotcha.
So Lance says moderation and discipline is key. Absolutely. And so we are going to end on that note. And I want to thank Antoinette for coming and sharing her journey with us. We will continue to have this conversation because if this is what it takes to help our fellow sisters and brothers get themselves together and motivate and inspire them, then this is what we're going to do. And we're going to have these authentic conversations and know that, this is a no judgment zone and we are not going to sit idly by and watch each other not take care of ourselves. So, thank you all for joining us. Sharon will be here next week. And so I believe next week we will have the young boy, also known as my son, on the show. And he will do the reveal of what school he has chosen to attend and play soccer. So again, thank you all for joining us. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. And I say go Chiefs.
Yeah.